Or should people sometimes speak a very different language?
I struggled very deeply when I left the platform. I felt like I had taken
Second-class citizen.
I felt like I was demoted.
It's less than, yeah. How do you develop a common language, whether they're on the worship side or the tech side? They can know what we mean when we say, my mix feels pretty harsh. Well, in the same way that the person with the microphone is communicating the gospel, the person with the fader, the person twisting the knob and pushing the button, has an opportunity to communicate the gospel.
Or should people sometimes speak a very different language? Can we agree? I mean, I'm a worship person. I feel like I definitely speak a different language. You're somewhat of a hybrid. I guess I'm a hybrid. I think we're all hybrids. I think we could all kind of play both sides of the coin.
I started in this sort of, I mean, my background is more musical than technical. I came into this with a musician's perspective rather than a solely technical perspective. So I feel like one thing that served me really well over the course of my career is being able to speak both languages.
Yeah.
To be able to speak muso and to be able to speak tech. But for me, I'm light on the tech side in terms of just my bent.
Yeah.
And there's some engineers, whether it's video, audio, or lighting, where they're just so like all about the gear and all about signal flow and all about the specs and all the things. One of the funniest examples that I've said before is like back in the Tomlin days, our drummer, who was an incredible musician, really great, and pretty technical. Like he was, in terms of skill, like he was really kind of loved to build things and loved to be a craftsman and all that stuff. So you would think he would be super technical. He said to our monitor engineer one day, he goes, "Man, everything sounds okay, but can you make my mix feel a little more organic?" And our engineer, who's very like linear, ones and zeros, binary, is like, does not compute. Like, does that mean add 2 dB at 2K? Or
I don't even know what that means.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like, sometimes they're using verbiage that it's like, they'll post something online and it'll be some random esoteric poetic thing. And you're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And then there's a person on the other end of that who has to kind of try to interpret.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you develop a common language? How do you, even when you use words that you should understand, like what's the difference between muddy and warm? What's the difference between harsh and bright? What's the difference between aggressive and whatever? It's like just to be able to develop a lexicon of terms that everybody on the team, whether they're on the worship side or the tech side, they can know what we mean when we say, my mix feels pretty harsh.
Yeah. How do you feel? Where are you on the spectrum? We're all on the spectrum, by the way. So
What kind of,
We're just a touch.
spectrum.
Just a touch.
Definitely creative music. I mean, production, as anybody that listens to the podcast would know, that production was never my primary focus. People ask me all the time, what's your specialty? Audio, video, or lighting? And I'm like, I just change it up every time.
your core discipline.
Yeah.
You're a great person to have in this discussion because sometimes you actually do kind of represent ITs, but sometimes you can be a little bit dismissive of, production guys want to talk about gear and blah, 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 right? Like would you agree? I'm not being too hard on you on that way.
No.
Which is,
No.
so it goes both ways, right? And sometimes I think that you maybe don't necessarily know how to speak you just said it. You're more on the creative side.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started, so worship background, and creative background if I did 16 years of full-time ministry, 10 of that was leading worship. So everything outside of that would have been this producing production role. When I went from worship, so on the platform, to behind the scenes production, that was a major transition in my life from state to state, church to church. Those production guys there, I'm sure they loved it. They probably just thought to themselves, who is this guy? He doesn't know left from right. Now he's our new production boss. He doesn't know anything about it. And they were right. At that time,
plug any of these cables in if he had to.
I knew right away that I was in trouble because I was like, how do I win production guys? Because they have zero respect for this skinny jeans, faux hawk wearing, kid coming in from Knoxville to tell us how to now do production. So, I would definitely lean more towards, today I'm a lot like Jeff. I feel like the reason why I've been able to have a pivotal role in events and production is because I know what it's like to be on the platform. I know what those guys and girls are going through. Like I can look at them and just by their eyes, by their tone, by the way they're carrying themselves, something is off.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to either prevent that or fix that because I know where they're at. And then now I know how to take that and translate that to crew and production people and say, hey, we need to adjust, look, tilt, figure this out from even someone from an audience standpoint. I'm kind of,
But for somebody who's leading both sides of the equation, if you're at a smaller to mid-sized church and you have, it's usually the worship pastor who's responsible for all of that. It's really hard for them if they're not a both and, if they're not a bit of a unicorn in that way, they're going to default to communicating one way or the other. And so it's important, I think, for them to have just the awareness of that, to know like, oh man, I'm really great in kind of a songwriting / studio / creative setting because of the way I think about music or the way I feel about an event. But I've got to figure out either who is going to translate for me or figure out how to develop a way to communicate with the tech side, because it is in a way two different sides of the same language, but in a way it's a different language. So it's like, how are you going to find a way to not just, get things done, but a way to endear and come alongside and make the folks that are opposite of your tendency to feel like they're actually part of the team and that they're welcomed in.
I think you do. You have to have. So if I'm coming in as a weekend creative director or some churches call it a producer now or whatever, I'm like that blend role. I'm over production and worship, and I come together. I think immediately you have to define. We knew right away when I went to that church that because I lacked the technical knowledge, and I wasn't willing to learn it either. I made it clear, like I'm not willing to learn technical stuff. So if you need me to come be a technical individual, then I'm not a good hire for your position. So I was very upfront with that.
Well, because it's important, I think, to operate out of your strengths rather than manage your weaknesses.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm letting you know right from the get. If you want me to come and fix your systems, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So they knew what they were hiring, and I knew what I was walking into. But what did I do right when I got there? We hired that technical person because that person was now going to answer to me, and they were going to lead the whole production department. So the guys that were very technical could go to a technical leader that wasn't me. Same for worship. So on the worship side of things, yes, I'm more knowledgeable about worship, but it was in music and instruments and all that stuff, song arrangements, you name it. But still, I had to have a music director or someone that could keep the respect of all of our musicians and worship staff to have that dotted line to, or that, that direct line for leadership. Anyways, that is the role I had to do because I could not win both those departments and keep everybody happy and lead that size of staff.
Yeah.
Trying to be what we see a lot in church. I'll just do it all myself and try to look the best and be the most knowledgeable in all areas. Don't approach anything that way. Admit those weaknesses or the areas that you don't you're not an expert in, and put the right people in those seats.
Yeah.
Why does it feel so? We're in it. We're immersed in this worship and tech community and the culture that comes with that. Why does it feel so hypersensitive, this relationship between worship and tech and being able to communicate to the worship team? Because I see this like everywhere. I mean, it really just comes down to communication in marriages, communication in the workplace. But for some reason, this tends to be one that, and I don't want to make like bad guys, good guys camps, but why is this still plaguing the community?
I'll just say real fast. We've talked about this before. This is not new to the podcast here. I will say I struggled personally very deeply when I left the platform because I felt like I'm on the production team now. I felt like I had taken
second-class citizen.
I felt like I was demoted.
It's less than, yeah.
I felt like I was demoted, and I battled this for years. I remember when I came back home to Knoxville, I took so I was in a quote unquote production role at my church in Vegas, and I left that church, came back to Knoxville. I was a quote unquote production role. They were both called either weekend creative directors or producers. Either way, I was over production at both these churches. And I remember a volunteer walked up to me. I was just introduced as the new production guy. I think that's what they said. Hey, this is Dylan, our new production guy. And that just eked me to death. And then within seconds, a volunteer wanted to put me in my place who was on stage as a guitar player, singer. And he walked up to me with his battery pack, handed me his pack and said, hey, can you change the batteries in this, please? That was how he introduced himself to me. And so for years, I struggled that I was a demoted individual because I felt like I needed to go more towards leadership, which the leadership opportunities for me in my season of life was more in production.
Okay. Can we pause for a second? Yeah. What you just shared is incredibly vulnerable, and can we name that? That's pride. That's pride.
100%.
Right?
100% pride. Arrogance, pride.
And I don't say that to be,
but it's on both of your parts.
Identity.
It's your part and it's the guitar player's part.
My identity was wrapped up in the platform.
Yep.
That was my identity. So you're taking me off of everything I know, you know? I mean, nobody took me off anything. I'd made the decision to leave the platform, and I knew it was the right move to make, but I still struggled with it deeply because it was my identity.
But by default, the platform comes with a certain level of status.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. You're up there on stage in front of lights. You're physically higher than everybody else. You're under the lights. You've got a microphone in front of you. It's like so there is a reality of that.
People are coming up to you in the lobby. You're getting recognized. Hey, great job today. You did a killer job. You sounded great. You look great. Everything's great. Your team's awesome. You're doing such a great job. People on platform get this, and they start building this like, oh yeah, I feel great. And then you lose it.
You literally can't ignore those things.
Right.
Yeah.
As a human.
Yeah.
You cannot ignore
my call
those.
time is later.
Condition.
I come in and the production team is already there. Yeah. They've already been working, and I put my battery. I mean, I'm
it is
there to
doing something. It is doing something for like the chemical balance.
It's
in your
dopamine.
Body. Yeah, it's just 100%. So then that gives you, what does that give you? In my personal experience, that gives you confidence,
status.
It gives you confidence. You walk a little taller.
Yeah,
people tell you, and you're.
But it also gives you insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because there is a point at which you realize, you know what? If they really knew, like if they knew what was going through my head right now, or if they knew about the fight I got in with my wife, or if they knew the habit that I'm trying to not disclose on the side or whatever. And there's this thing of performative thing where it's like, man, I think obviously all those things are at play. All those things are factors. So if we unpack this, we can go kind of category by category. I think at the highest level, there has to be a leader that more than just in name only, because everybody can say this, but very few places I think actually believe it and mean it to be true, that we are one team and that we are all tasked with creating an environment where people can experience ways to take a step in their faith.
Yeah.
Where we can usher people into the actual presence of God and the Holy Spirit and help people be led to move toward what He has for them. And that can happen through a video. It can happen through the rhythm of the slides in ProPresenter. It can happen through an audio mix. It can happen over a microphone from the stage. But each of us has a priestly role that we're carrying in the same way that the Old Testament priests prepared the place for the people of God to experience the presence of God.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing in a modern context.
Yep.
And in Exodus, it says that Bezalel and Oholiab were filled with the Spirit of God to do the tasks that were in front of them, to build the temple, to build the structures, to do the rugs and the filigree and all of the ornaments and all the stuff that it took to make the tabernacle what it was. And it's the first time in the Bible that anybody is mentioned as being filled with the Spirit of God. Yeah. It was the production team that was filled with God's Spirit to do what they were tasked to do. So I think the first thing we have to do, and I would say this to any worship pastor, any senior leader, any executive pastor listening to this, if we can put our teams under that context, it would tear down, just by default, it would tear down some of this stuff. Instead of just a general nod at the end of a big event to say, hey, shout out to our production folks because they sure do a great job around here. It's like, no, man, they are a crucial role in the same way that the person with the microphone is communicating the gospel. The person with the fader The person twisting the knob and pushing the button has an opportunity to communicate the gospel.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, so what you just said is so in line with a post recently that went a little bit viral in our community. Alex Seeley, did you see that reel of Alex Seeley?
I think so.
She was talking about how, production carries this Levitical role. Like we talked about this a little bit, and there's two sides to this. So what she said is like spot on. Okay. And I thought it was incredible. But what was fascinating to me, and this is where I really want, I think we could dive into this conversation quite deeply, but what you just said is so powerful and so true, Jeff. But we get caught in this rut. Everybody was sharing that reel out there, like, check this out. And why did they share it? And I thought it was interesting because like the hook of that reel was basically production people. If your production people are grumpy, it's your fault as a leader. That was like, that is what spread. And everybody was reposting it. Mm-hmm. And there was so much truth in what the video, but it was just, the hook of it was, if your production people are grumpy, leader, that's your fault. She was speaking to a room full of leaders for context of those listening. And everybody was like, I got to tell the world about this. That said something really interesting to me.
It does say something interesting. If I could just push back on her or them or whoever reacted to that a little bit, I would say, if you're grumpy, it's your own damn fault. Because you're not seeing your identity. No, but I'm saying to Dylan's point about identity, it's like I have an opportunity to be used by God in the way that I serve.
Yeah.
It's not this thing coming down at me. Now, it is, if the guitar player's being a butt and just coming up to you, not knowing your name and saying, hey, change this battery for me, that's a totally different conversation. That guy needs to be off the platform because he doesn't understand that he's a part of a team that's bigger than his ability to play C, F, and G. It's like, no, man, if you're not in this for the right reasons to be a part of this thing that's moving people, sorry, you're taking a break. Send him to the bench.
Yeah.
I don't have, and I know we've got limited people and all that, and the guy can be a jerk, and we still need him because he's really good. That is the wrong mindset. Mm-hmm. In the same way that it's wrong to have this guy mixing because he's an all-star mixer that worked on a record. It's like if he's an ass, he doesn't need to be in the seat.
This guy's hot and bothered.
I'm sorry,
right
this is a big soapbox for me.
And I agree. At the end of the day, I thought about reposting the Alex video. I decided not to.
You did, actually.
I did not repost it.
You did.
I did not. And I decided.
You sent it to me.
No, I didn't.
No, you did repost
I didn't repost it. I was going to, but I didn't. And I don't think I did. I didn't repost it. Don't do it to me. I didn't repost it. And the reason why I didn't repost it, because I was leaning a little bit towards you. I thought what she said was gold.
The whole thing in its entirety.
I thought what she said was awesome.
You did repost it.
But if you take that part of it out of context.
My fear was...
But that's why everybody shared it. Because nobody watches the whole thing.
Right.
Nobody watches the whole thing. Production guys watch it, and they're like, I told all of you it's not my fault that I'm a jerk to you. Yeah. I told you. Alex Seeley, she's so influential. Everybody loves her. She said it first.
My fear is that if you're on a production team and you have a bad attitude, don't have a bad attitude.
Right.
You are choosing to have a bad attitude.
Yes.
So that was like my little bit of like, I get it. I
still don't understand how it's the leader's fault. And I'm not trying to mince your words out. I don't understand how it's fully the leader's fault.
I think what she was saying is because
everything after that I loved and agreed. I didn't understand.
I think what she's saying is because I'm walking in. Okay, let's say I'm a producer and I walk in and my whole crew is grumpy, and they're all sassy and tired and not taken care of, and they're all griping and complaining. And I'm not gonna cuss like Jeff is, but drop all the bad words in there, and we'll pray for you, Jeff. But he
just had this huge pastoral moment before that, and then
but here's the problem.
Listen, damn and ass are both in the Bible.
That's okay.
But there is a little bit of truth to that. If I walk in and my entire team is in a bad mood, it more than likely probably is my fault because I'm going.
It all rises and falls on leadership.
Where did I drop the ball?
Right.
What did I not communicate to the crew? Did I forget to feed them today? Did I forget to? I'm talking about from a producing.
Yeah, they could just be hangry.
They could just be upset about something silly that needed to be addressed, or I didn't hear an idea that the whole team wanted to run with, and I just blew it off because I was onto something else. And so or I'm pushing them too hard, or I'm paying them at 12s instead of 10s for overtime, or whatever it is. Like from a pastoral standpoint, a worship pastor standpoint, a production director, a leadership, a creative role. Yeah, I mean, there probably is some truth to that. Like change something. But also, we're lacking communication between that. We're lacking those honest conversations. We're lacking that feedback culture. So I don't disagree with that approach. There was just more to it that was left out. And so I was hesitant to fuel the fire of bad attitudes.
But I think in the context of if she's talking to leaders, if she is talking to leaders, then at that point it is appropriate because
she's talking to leaders.
She's talking to leaders about leadership. So if your team is bad, it's because of your leadership.
Yeah.
So but for a production person to take that out of context to go, see, I told you it's your fault.
Yeah.
No, it's like there's shared blame because at the end of the day, your feelings, your attitude, she's not responsible for your feelings. You're responsible for your feelings.
Hey, I want to take a quick break and tell you about MXU. MXU is the one platform that you need to run your worship and tech ministry. We do it through helping you train your volunteers with thousands of training videos and automated pathways. We help you plan your weekend services with team messaging, task management, and automated scheduling. And then lastly, we help you actually run and execute Sunday with dashboards that connect all the tools that you currently use into one place. If you want to learn more about it, you can head to getmxu.com. Now back to the show. Yeah. And this is where one of the most listened to podcasts in MXU history was the podcast. You were on it. It was a couple years ago. We recorded, I can't remember if you were on it, Dylan, but probably not if everybody listened to it, but it was my sound guy. I think it was like, my sound guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We like the whole conversation, we really dug deep into that. And
well, because historically we have a reputation of being jerks.
Yeah.
There's this tendency to build
He
stanchions.
said we, by the way. So he said we.
Build
so
stanchions
not attacking
around our
anybody.
skill.
Yeah.
Put up this little, wall and say, this is my sandbox. I'm the only one who knows how this stuff works. I'm going to stiff arm everybody else because this is my territory and keep out.
Yeah.
And then it turns into this attitude where we just have this gulf between the booth and the stage because this is my job and I'm the guy and I learned, this stuff, and nobody remembers though that you learned it from somebody else and it's all rented anyway. It's not like you didn't invent live sound. Get over yourselves.
Yeah.
But there is that reputation of the sort of curmudgeonly, gruff church sound guy who's just like sitting in the back, arms crossed, brow furrowed.
Yeah. What would be our version? What would be our worship leader version of that? If we were to do an episode that everybody listened to, that was what to do when your worship leader blank. What's the other side of this coin? What's that episode?
Entitled Narcissistic Rockstar.
Wardrobe.
Oh, dude, the wardrobe.
It just eeks me that these worship leaders.
Eeks?
Is that a word?
Irks?
Eeks.
Steel.
Jaden, don't laugh.
Be steel.
It just, when they walk in wearing what they wear and they think that they are above everybody in that room and they're walking in at doors.
And they look ridiculous,
They
by the way,
look
because nobody in
ridiculous.
culture even wears that
And
stuff
I'm
anymore.
like, what are you doing? Like, we watched the halftime show with the largest pop star in the world right now, Justin Bieber. You can't, the amount of money they probably paid this guy to even play Hallelujah on the acoustic guitar was insane. Nobody can book this guy. He's not touring. He's like, it just shows up and does his thing.
And think of the number of people in the world that watch that match just to see him.
Yeah, and he walks out wearing what he's wearing, and I'm like, that's what half our worship leaders look like. Like these
Just wait till this Sunday. They're all going to be wearing it because of what he did the other day.
I'm like, what are we doing? So production people probably look at that and go, there's already a disconnect. Like, you look like an idiot up there. And nobody's telling you look like an idiot. It drives me insane.
For those, oh man, I want to. I gotta see if I can find this. Dylan sent me this, and Jeff, you
didn't delete it?
I say all that. I'll bring some clarity and some value to why I was talking about people, what they wear, because sometimes, not all the time, I have some of my best friends in the world are full-time worship pastors.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see, or I will work with a church, which I have over the last couple of years, where worship leaders, they show up right at doors. They're not at rehearsals. They change programming last minute. They look like a Justin Bieber, or they look like this
Trying to be a rock
celebrity pop star showing up
Yeah.
wearing shades and sunglasses and Gucci shoes. I'm like, you cannot tell me.
We've talked about this so many times.
I
can't find it. They took it down. They
You
took
just
the video
can't
down.
tell. You can't tell me that. And I'm not. And I don't want to come across from a judgmental standpoint, because they may love the Lord more than anybody, and they may be. But I automatically you're setting a disconnect between you and more than likely your production team.
Nobody who loves the Lord wears sunglasses indoors. I'm sorry.
We can't
Well,
get back on the sunglasses. And it wasn't Chandler Moore. Okay, it wasn't Chandler
it was
Moore.
Not Chandler
Just
Moore.
move on. Okay,
was not
but the
Chandler.
real I wanted to find, it was the one of the pastor with the massive. Remember that video you
Yeah.
sent me? Oh,
It had to have been a joke.
I think it was real. But they're also in Portland. I mean,
He had a gigantic shirt on, and this thing was like the shoulders like went out, like he was wearing a coat hanger on both sides. And it went out, and it went down on the floor, and it's this big box shirt, and he's preaching the gospel.
he's being dead serious.
Like he's preaching the gospel, and it's like bedazzled, and it's like all these pearls on it. I'm like,
And that's his like fit for the day. He looks in the mirror
Okay,
before he leaves
and
his
if
house.
I'm
and
an
goes,
audio engineer, I'm going to be grumpy.
This cannot be. This is not the episode though. That is not like. That's their worst offense, is wearing ridiculous clothes. Like, is that really why? Like, that's why tech guys are jerks.
No,
it's-
but you were looking on the reel, and I was bringing clarity of why I
Yeah.
got on the wardrobe. I was mainly saying because that's just one of the things that they show up at doors, they change programming, they change things last minute, they expect their stuff to be lined up and lined out and ready to go, and the guitar put around their neck.
Yeah.
They walk in wearing what they're wearing and sunglasses on stage.
Can I summarize it? I think. Tell me if I'm wrong. Disagree with me. I think they, at times, can be very disconnected. Just very disconnected. Why do you wear that ridiculous stuff? Because you are disconnected
Yeah.
from reality and the people that you are called to shepherd.
And so here's my like, and I don't know any specifics. I'm not calling anybody out, but to me, that's a symptom. I would ask the question, in what other ways in your life are you disconnected?
Yeah.
In other words, if you're disconnected to that degree when you walk in the room, then how can I be assured that you have spent time meditating on what you're going to be singing?
Yeah.
Do you know the scripture on which this song is based?
Yeah.
Have you prayed about this worship set? Have you prayed for the team on stage? Have you prayed for me as the person who's trying to partner with you to communicate this message? Do you have a moment in a huddle before the service where we can all pray together? Like,
Yeah.
have we invited the Lord to be a part of what we're doing here? Because if not, Jeff's going to start cussing again.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
we
and I
don't
think,
want that.
and it's back to what you said earlier. The whole like disconnected on many levels. Like to tell somebody, hey, can you make my mix more organic? You sound pretty disconnected.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, hey, whatever. And I think that is a tension that I'm feeling as I talk to, the other side of the coin on the tech team,
Yeah.
production team, is just these guys don't have a clue. They show up late. They don't learn their parts. They think that everybody loves them. They show up. They have this ego that is just so present.
Yeah.
Everybody in the lobby tells them how great they are. And then they come backstage and they BS me and ask me, how my family's doing. And they don't even know my kids' names. And
Right.
they just are so disconnected.
Yeah.
Their
And they're-
identity is wrapped up in the platform.
Yeah.
And it's, are you done? Or you thought I wanted to
I'm
interrupt you?
done. I'm done. I just, I think.
Well,
yeah,
to my
I don't want to, because I kind of finished my thought on
Yeah,
that.
go.
I don't want to, it's not just worship pastors. We also see this pride in the new age of production people with the new Instagram accounts and the followers and turning that into businesses. And like,
Instafluencers, we love you.
we're
It's okay.
seeing that all
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
Instagram as well. All three of us dabble in that. We're,
Yeah.
and so there's nothing wrong with it, but we're starting to see it in the production, these personalities arise in production. Worship has been that way and they're coming that way. We also see it in pastoral leadership. Just the other day, props with that Instagram, props with pastors or whatever it's called.
Preachers and sneakers.
No, props with pastors. They make fun of pastors on stage with these crazy props. Well, one of the graphics was like Condom Kingdom or something like that.
Oh, I saw
and he
that.
was on
I
stage
saw
and he
that.
was like, "You're probably thinking this is crazy because we're at church. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, at this church, we're not gonna be a filter church." And I wasn't against that. Like I wasn't against his approach. But then he said, "You're probably kind of surprised that I'm allowing this on my stage." And nobody in the comments, I went through all the comments, was like, nobody's calling him out for saying my. I don't even care about the graphic.
yeah.
These people legitimately think that stage is theirs.
Yeah.
And that's the disconnect. These pastors think their stages are theirs. These worship leaders think their stages are theirs. That is not their stage. That is inside of a local church. That belongs to God and God only, and He's allowed you to be on that platform. I'm just like, this is
He's getting red.
Yeah, I feel my blood pressure going.
Okay, so a couple things.
Because I'm like, that's a huge miss.
Yeah, couple things.
My stage.
I just want to make sure, because we keep saying these pastors, these worship leaders, who we talking about? This is not everybody.
Right.
But this is.
But the danger is
impacting.
it could be everybody, because we're all drawn to that because of being human.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're not careful, a little bit of drift can go, oh, that did feel pretty good. That was a dopamine hit. They are stroking my ego when they say that. I want more of that. Maybe if I do this more, it would be even better. Like, it's like, you know, give me that hit. Yeah. So, yeah, we're talking about examples in the extreme, but the point is about identity. Like, is your grounding in the right place? Not in who people say you are, but in who God says you are. Are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you actually feeling like you're called in this moment to lead people toward the gospel, toward Jesus, toward what the Holy Spirit has for them? And can you bring other people with you on that journey to partner in that? Because, man, if we're all flowing in that same stream together, we have no idea the power that can happen in this room if we're doing that together. But that has to be that our egos get set to the side. It has to be done with humility. It has to be done with open hands. You know, in terms of identity, 2 Peter says, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, God's special possession, that He has called you out of darkness into His marvelous light, that you may declare His praises. It's like that, you know, the quote's a little jumbled, but that's the point. It's like
Jet version.
You've been called to this moment to cooperate as a priesthood. Mm-hmm. You know, Jesus is our priest, and we don't need an intermediary, but I'm talking about for preparing this place for the people of God to experience the presence of God through the praises of God. That is happening not because of this person on stage with a weird outfit and a microphone. It's happening with the team in the back who's scrolling through slides, who's getting graphics on the right time, who's making the lights compelling, who's making an impactful mix and playing guitar and singing in a mic and playing drums. It's like, it has to be cooperative and collaborative.
Yeah.
And to the point earlier about the organic thing,
the
way that got resolved is because of relationship. Mm-hmm. Because the monitor engineer was confused. He said, I don't know what you mean by that. Well, it turns out he just liked a more open sound in his overheads. So it's like, can you just give me more of the overheads and make it sound less direct so that I can feel like I'm kind of standing in front of the kit? It's like, oh, great. That's what you mean by organic. I can do that for sure. And it's like, there's collaboration, there's cooperation, because there's relationship.
Yeah.
It's not us and them, it's us together as one.
100%. And I think what I'm starting to be convinced of is that us in the worship and tech ministry, we are not special in this tension we feel is not unique. Okay. So when I stepped out of vocational ministry and went to work in software, I found a really successful path in that company because of my ability to communicate with software engineers. Just different people in the company. They were on a different floor of the company, of the building. People wouldn't go up there, so we don't know how to talk to them. And I was used to working in church, dealing with this tension in worship and tech, where it was like, I kind of was a hybrid. I could kind of speak both languages. And I was like, I know exactly how to handle this because this is people stuff. Mm-hmm. This is not unique to worship and technical ministry. Mm-hmm. This is called being in the world.
Right.
And I think sometimes we like to give ourselves a pass. Oh, as worship and tech, it's just this thing. It's like, no, we're just kind of following the world's example. So what if we don't follow the world's example? And exactly like you said, there's relationship. Where's our identity? Where are we rooted? We come together in the name of Jesus and the mission that we're on together in this very special context of being the local church.
Yeah.
I think that we like to give ourselves a pass. Oh, I'm a muso. I'm a techie. I'm a whatever, all the names that people come up for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, really what you're communicating is you just kind of have an identity crisis.
Yeah, because I think for the people who are on the receiving end, on the production side, the people who feel like they've been demoted or are less than or whatever, you know, it's easy to sort of play the victim in that. But it also requires initiative on our part to go, okay, how can I learn to speak some of their language?
Yeah.
How can I learn, like, why is it significant for an audio engineer to know anything about music theory? It's super important for an audio engineer to know about music theory. I want to know the Nashville number system so that when they say we're going to end the song on the 4, I know what that means and why and how it helps us transition from this song to the next song because of those keys being related. Yeah. It's like, okay, that can help me massage the transition so that I know this pad is going to lead into this next song, or the host is going to come up under this thing. And because I understand more about the music, I can help facilitate that better. So it's like, it's got to go both ways.
Yeah.
And for the musician, for the guitar player to know more about the technical aspects of what their amp modeling is doing, or whatever the case may be. For the singer to know enough about mic technique to know that if I hold this way, it's really going to help the audio team manage my sound better. It's like, it has to be both sides coming together to compromise and to
just
collaborate.
Do something. Like if you're thinking, Jeff, that was a great point, but my plate is so full right now as the worship leader at this church. Like the thought of even learning or acting like I want to learn an audio console, or acting like, just a video transition or switcher or whatever. Just do something.
Do you know the guy's name?
Do you know their name? That's what I was going to say. Do you know their names? Do you know, just don't act like you need to, as a leader, put it as a priority that you are on the same team with these people.
Yeah.
And that you're handing the ball off to your running back. And I would say most quarterbacks know their running back's name.
For sure.
Well, and if you're listening to this and you go, I identify as the good guy, like, you're probably doing it wrong too. I have those conversations all the time. People will be like, I listened to the episode. It was awesome, man. Like, yeah, I'm dealing with that. Like, I'm the good guy in this scenario and I'm dealing with the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And he might not be. And it just maybe take a step back and think, man, maybe it takes two to tango and we just don't know how to speak each other's languages.
Because when does it ever work well for you to play the victim? Mm-hmm. Anywhere else in life? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody looks kind of sideways at a person who has a victim mentality. And if that's you in your workplace and that's you in your worship experience and that's you, then, I mean, we got to get beyond that. It's like, there are times when we're actually hurt, but man, we can't hold on to that and use that as a way to live our lives. You've got to address it. You've got to be forthcoming. The church should be the safest place to have hard conversations. And so often it's the worst place. So we've got to do better. Leaders, you've got to do better at encouraging feedback, encouraging hard conversations. But like we've always said around MXU, I can't have a conversation with somebody like that if I don't know their kids' names. Mm-hmm. It's not even their name. It's like, it's got to be a layer above the actual conflict. It's like, we've got relationship. You know I love you. You were at my house for dinner 2 weeks ago. We had a great time, but we got to talk about this. Like, we're still in this together, but there's an issue here we got to deal with.
Yep.
And that's the only path forward.
Yeah. 100%. And don't think, I'll have a chance at that relationship next time around once I get rid of this person.
Yeah.
Don't like,
because in that scenario, the problem is you.
100%.
You're the common denominator.
And I've done this. We've all done this. It's like, yeah, I get how it's supposed to work, and I'll find that guy, but I don't have that guy right now. It's like, no.
So you're just looking for a clone of yourself.
Yeah, like, help build that guy. Yeah. Like, help create that. Like, relationships take work. Anyways, man, I'm glad really we good. Solved it. We've gotten hot here. This has actually been really good, I think. I hope it's been good.
I think it's the first time I've ever cussed on the MXU podcast.
Yeah, he used to be the one that got mad at other people for cussing. Man. Jay Desai probably isn't listening, but we'll send him a clip so he can get back at Jeff. All the years that Jay used to cuss on this episode or on this podcast.
Because I was editing and I had to bleep it all out.
Yeah, Jeff would edit and be like,
"It's amazing,
Jay." Anyways. Hey, thanks for joining us if you made it this far. And if you want to learn more about MXU, we'll put a link in the description below, platform to help you train, plan, execute weekends as a worship and tech leader. We're excited about it. There's a lot under the hood. We'd love to show you. Head to getmxu.com if you want to learn more. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time on the MXU podcast.